Alright, let's shout at the devil. We have Daredevil 353, Mr. Daredevil versus Mr. Hyde. This was released in June 1996, and it begins a new era for the Scarlet Swashbuckler, according to the credits anyway. Trust me, said the devil. Daredevil is dealing with two rando suicide people. They are wanting to kill themselves, and Daredevil won't piggin' shut up. He is riffing, and he is doing improv like there is no tomorrow. And I thought to myself, oh no. And then it said colour separations by Malibu, so I was really worried. What I need to reiterate from yesterday's video is that this is coming along after a long period of dreary misery in Daredevil. Senselessly cynical suffering. Blind man misery theatre, as I call it. Hank Miller famously had Daredevil fall the most he ever could. And writers after that thought that they needed to do one better and have Daredevil fall even further and harder, while missing the point that at the end, Hank Miller had Daredevil win. I'm not even saying that Ann Nonsense was bad in her defeats of Daredevil, or even in having him fall so far he literally ends up in hell. But there's some far more egregious examples that came after her. Daredevil had just become too depressing. And this goes so heavily in the opposite direction. I would say initially here it goes way too overboard with making Daredevil the laugh-a-minute jokester. I understand that that is an expedient way to set the tone, but on these first pages it is too much, and it comes off as trying to force it. Where things pick up are the Matlock side of the story, and we have a cameo here, Lois from Superman. She is there in the courthouse. Daredevil is such a man slut. I'm surprised they are not at it like rabbits yet. The big thing is dealing with Foggy having found out that his law partner, Ben Matlock, is Daredevil. And here, Matlock explains how he is actually blind, and he's not been pretending to be blind all these years. And we set up a new character, Rosamund Pike. She is a high-powered attorney who is also Froggy's mum. Ribbit, ribbit. I talked about this a tad in yesterday's haul video. Foggy, he found out that Matlock was Daredevil in the issues before this, the tail end of some blind man misery theatre. And I think the way things have unfolded, we've actually missed the issue or two where Foggy is angry about it. It felt big though. It was a major shake-up to the book's setup, and it was long overdue. You can have the hero lying to his best friend in the 60s and even the 70s, but by the 80s or the 90s, it makes you start asking if they are even friends. The other thing is that Foggy suffers too. Alongside the Blind Man Misery Theatre, Foggy has it bad as well. His love interests would always be killed. And when Foggy is lacking the crucial explanation that his friend is Daredevil, it makes the character and his torment feel more like a mean farce than anything else. I like my supporting cast to be moving forward. I welcome with open arms Foggy's discovery of Daredevil's secret identity. But then we have Deborah Ann Wall, the lovely Deborah Ann Wall, avid D&D player Deborah Ann Wall. Now, Deborah Ann Wall is great, but the character sucks. We have this cosy scene with her and Matlock, but this feels the exact opposite of what's going on with Foggy. We are at a dead end with her. She's just the girlfriend character. There's not much with her. Even when they do give her plot lines in this run, and there are some important ones, it doesn't feel like it is really pushing the character or a relationship with the title star anywhere new. In fact, them being together is weird. Daredevil, he had been missing for a while. He faked his death. And then he came back and he was in a relationship with Deborah Ann Wall again. They never really express much about how him faking his death mattered to Deborah Ann Wall. She automatically is in a relationship with him again when he returns. And her Krakow history does come up for what it's worth, even in this scene. I don't think that is necessarily good, but at least it is something. We are addressing it when most of the other writers wanted to rightfully bury that random baggage she was given. And then others will just kill her off to make Daredevil miserable again. The thing is, Daredevil's banter really does stand out. I suppose we are going with the idea of renewed confidence. He is feeling better in himself now that some of his demons have been put to bed, and that one of his biggest secrets is now out in the open. Has anyone ever suggested that Daredevil might be bipolar? Based on how over the top his upswing is here, I feel like that could be a reasonable diagnosis. Our villain is Mr. Hyde, the evil bugger boy himself. Mr. Hyde. He receives a new design in this, credited to Junior, and it doesn't last. Not even when Junior draws them a year later. It's not even worth talking about the redesign. We have a fight and Daredevil still is prattling on doing jokes, and it becomes very evident here that we're not actually reading Daredevil. It is Spider-Man. I was prepared to write this off as bad writing until we get to the part where it makes sense. Daredevil, he has been flippant and quippy non-stop, and now he is struck by seeing a dead girl, one of Mr. Hyde's victims. He will have bummed her to death. And Daredevil, he goes silent. Daredevil has been somewhat fooling himself and trying to play a part to forget about the harsh shit he has to deal with or has experienced. And then here, he is brought back down to earth, and the phony Spider-Man facade slips. The next page has an early version of the soon-to-be-better list of things that were out at the time. The main thing touted here is this issue of Daredevil, and its summary doesn't quite go with this issue. I don't think I have any other comics here, but I have definitely read Doctor Strange 90. It was in the Dark Books trade paperback. It's also the final issue of that series. Jim Tomatoes writes it. Good cover as well. Then we have Ghost Driver 74, well past the point of readable. Howie Mandel isn't even writing it anymore. And we have art by Sally LaRue. It will run for another 19 issues, with the 20th one, issue 94, never published until 2007. Hulk. Incredible Hulk 442. I had to check if I had this one, I don't. It's the issue where the cover doesn't reflect anything that happens in the story. A bit like the summary of this issue of Daredevil. She-Hulks and Doc Shanna are there, but there are no monsters anywhere in the issue. They fight Molecular Man. Punisher issue 8, not read that one. I have read some of that series, but not that one. John Ostrich Punisher, kind of the vague age of Punisher. I can't remember how many issues the series lasted. I want to say 17. That's my guess, 17. It seems like a 17 issue long series. It definitely didn't get to 20. And then the other comic we have listed here is The Confusing Over the Edge issue 8. This one features Electro. The thing is, nobody has any clue what Over the Edge was meant to be. Every issue, it was something different. It was, I think, random inventory stories. It was a way to sneak them out. One issue did have a Doctor Strange story by Marky Mark G. That's probably the only one worth reading. A joke about Mr. Hyde anally raping people. If you don't know, there was a comic, Level Legion 3 from 2009, where it tried to say that Mr. Hyde, he was so psychopathic and violent that he will rape any prison guards that get too close to him. And that is fucking stupid and trying to be hardcore. But there is an undercurrent here that he did actually rape that girl. He did whatever he pleased with her. She was only 16 years old, you sick fuck. Daredevil beats Mr. Hyde by exploiting his nerve clusters. And Daredevil has also stopped with the gags. And we have this bit where Mr. Hyde surrenders to the police and teases Daredevil that he will never be able to prove that he actually killed that girl. This will be a subplot, the legal side of Mr. Hyde's arrest. It will be explored for the next few months, with Matlock winding up being hired as his legal defence. I hope he doesn't get too close or he'll get sodomized. The issue wraps up by introducing us to Foggy's mam, Rosamund Pike. We don't learn she is his mam in this issue. We do if we read that summary. Here, she offers Matlock and Foggy jobs at her law firm as partners, which thrills Foggy, but she is also trying to manipulate Matlock and force him into joining her firm by saying that if he doesn't, then she doesn't want Foggy. I was feeling a bit frosty at the start. It felt too extreme a shift in tone. But I think it culminated in a good moment where we and Daredevil are directly exposed to the thing that the comic and the characters seemed to want to deny. In the end, I quite enjoyed this. And Mr. Hyde, he did some buggering. So I'll give it 7 thumbs up.